Hi, everybody. This is Sam. I see everybody trickling in. So I'll just give it a moment till about 10:01 to allow a few more people to sign on. All right, I'll just give it another 30 seconds in case you have a few people logging on right on the dot. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I did see a few familiar names trickling in to the chat. So you most likely, somewhat know me, hopefully, but my name is Samantha Briggs. I'm an economist with the Office of Economic Opportunity, and I'm going to be presenting on OEO's website and data tools that we have available. I did give a similar presentation to this last fall, if you attended that one. So with this one, I wanted to target it a little bit more towards the local area staff. And then also, oh wait, let me see the chat already. Oh, thank you, Jelensky. So I wanted to target it a little bit more towards local area staff and not only show you all how you can find information, but connect the dots a little bit more on my end about how you can actually use the information in your local planning or your daily work. So let me go ahead and switch over and get started here. And I am going to take questions at the end. And then if things pop out to you and you want to note them down in the chat, then that is perfectly fine. I just won't be monitoring the chat during the presentation. Alrighty, let me go ahead and get started. So I'm going to be going through how to find information on employment, unemployment, our in-demand occupations and industries, our projections informations, and demographics. So how I structured this presentation is that I'm going to be telling you a little bit about the data, how often it's updated, and then the information that's included in it, how you can use it to your benefit, and then going over a few examples with an accompanying visualization on the website. So some of this information can definitely seem abstract. So I wanted to provide not only a better overview of where you can find it, but also how you can use it each month as we post updates and within the local planning, economic development. And then I know I saw there's a few business services individuals on the call. A lot of this information can externalize over to that as well. So this is our overview of our website. It's split into 3 categories. This is just a screenshot here. The redirect that I tell everyone to go to is laborstats.az.gov. So I have that up here, and that redirects over to our homepage. And the website is split into 3 categories: our labor market team, which is what I'm on, population. Our state demographer, Jim Chang, and his amazing team are also in our office. And there's a little bit of information of his that I will also be going over. And then we have a regulatory and tax component on our website as well. But I'll mainly be focusing on the labor market section. So let me go ahead and show our website in real time. So here is our website, laborstats.az.gov. And scrolling down here If you are unfamiliar, the employment and unemployment numbers run through our office and our team specifically, and we release them in a press release each month. Last week, we just had our most recent update. So you can find that information within this blue banner area. You can view the press release presentation, which gives a little bit more nuance to the numbers. And then you can also read our press release. And you can also sign up for monthly updates to be sent straight to your email. So if that's something that interests you, you can sign up right here on the homepage. And scrolling down, we do have already a lot of information on the front page. So we have 27 economic indicator tiles on the homepage that give a really good sense of what's going on. So some quick facts already. So for example, if you just want to know, hey, what's the unemployment rate? Then you can go ahead and look right here. What's really great about this section is if I click this drop down here, we have everything for the counties and then the metro statistical areas as well. So for example, if I'm like, what's going on in Yuma, then I can go ahead and click and all of this information here will adjust. I'm not going to go over every single one of these, but just wanted to let you know they're there, and there's already a wealth of information just on our homepage. Going back to my presentation here, so the first section of information that I'm going to be going over is going to be our OEO, in-demand industries and occupations. So as most of you know, in-demand industries are especially important at the local area level. I would say this is the most important information source that I'm going to go over for this group. So overall, in-demand industries and occupations are custom analysis for each local area based on methodology that OEO determined with the input. This is before my time, predating me, several years ago, where they got the input of several agencies, different stakeholders, and everything to come up with this criteria for what an in-demand industry would be. So this is determined through historic employment and wages, projected employment growth, knowledge, skills, abilities, and then also employment advantages or location quotient, which I will definitely explain, which is a really great tool to use. These are updated just about every 2 years. We are coming up soon on our 2-year anniversary of in-demand occupations, so we should have updates later this year. I know people have asked me that as well, so just wanted to shout that out. And like I said, we do have detail for not only the state, but also each of the workforce areas. And when people often ask me, hey, what's the quote unquote best job? What's the best industry? I'm going to go ahead and direct them over to the in-demand industries and occupations for that information, since it is the most comprehensive and nuanced source that we have, which considers, many factors. So OEO, we have a page that caters to local areas and statewide information. And I'll also be showing some of the tools we have just as a reminder. And as an additional reminder, in-demand industries are ranked with 1 as quote unquote the best, a traditional way that you would think of a ranking. And then occupations are ranked from 1 to 5 stars within the methodology, with 5 being quote unquote the best. And then 1 being, 1 is still a good occupation, it's just not a 5-star occupation. So a really great way to use the in-demand industries, instead of, coming up with your own methodology or, using your own criteria, which is perfectly fine, but that can be pretty cumbersome to determine what the in-demand industries are. So if you use our methodology and they're already there, it can definitely help you make the best use of limited staff time. I did review all of the LMI portions for the local plans that were submitted. So I was really pleased to see that all the local areas definitely used our information and used them as a very important factor within their local planning process. So I know several of you on the call already know about it, but I also wanted to know that these can be used for purposes other than local planning. Like if you get one of those questions that I get, where a board member or another agency or another staff member says, hey, what are the best industries in our area? what are the best jobs? Then you can direct them over to the in-demand industries. So let me go over to our in-demand page and our in-demand tool. So in the past, this tool on the web page, and like I said, I do have, oh, I don't have it on this one. My bad. I'll fix this before they come out. Oh no, I do have it on the previous one. I have the URL referenced in one of the slides, at least one of them, usually most of them that I talk about. So don't feel like you have to memorize the URL. But going back to the in-demand tool. So in the past, this tool showed our traditional rankings, ranked 1 and so on, that showed all of the in-demand industries. So just recently, we've updated this so it reflects these selections from all of the local areas. So you can, scroll through and see what other local areas chose, and you still get the same information, but just we tailored it to what local areas chose. But we still have all of our information that OEO determined to be the in-demand industries and occupations for, stakeholders, board members, or any other analysis that you need. So scrolling down, I'll show you where you can find that. So I have all of this information down here for each of the local areas that lists the in-demand industries and occupations. So say if you are in Yavapai County and you want to see, hey, what was the OEO list of the in-demand industries? Then you can click here. I just preloaded it in case, I don't know, it didn't load. Not that that would happen, but you never know. Tech always likes to act up during presentations. But anyway, I have preloaded it. So I would click from here. And then I can see that, construction is the #1 industry. Let's see, accommodation food services, #5. So just if I need that for any purposes, these were the industries that came out within the OEO in-demand methodology for Yavapai County. We can also take a look at the in-demand occupation, so listed here. I've loaded it here. So it just adds a little bit more nuance. So for example, within the industries, I could see, hey, construction's #1. And then here I can also see carpenters are a 5-star occupation. So I could think, hey, maybe if someone wanted to go into construction, I could recommend carpenters to them and so on. And then we also just have additional information with wages, how many people are employed within each area, the projected growth, the education level needed. So very helpful. And I know people have told me before that they've just printed out this, if they're going into a meeting and they need to say, hey, these are the industries we should target. So feel free to use either of these lists that we've put together with the full information. Feel free to print them out or use them. Because yeah, I've heard people use them that way and they've gotten positive feedback. And additionally, yeah, these will be updated for subsequent 2024 planning. So moving on from in-demand to information that can help you each month and keep up with more frequent changes in the economy. So I'm going to go over several aspects of our industry employment data. And like I said, this is great for seeing how the economy is doing from month to month. And it shows the number of individuals in an industry and also the overall job growth or decline. These are updated monthly in our monthly press release that I showed up here. It's in our blue banner area. And then we also have quarterly data, which I'll explain how you can use that as well. We do have a high level of geographic detail, not only for Arizona, but also the counties and then the metro statistical areas as well. So how can this tool and that I'm going to show, which I have screenshotted here, and then how can the data overall help us? So it can help us see if jobs are growing or declining and in which industries. For example, if jobs are increasing in Arizona, but not your area, or vice versa. Is a specific industry growing or losing jobs in your area? For example, how's construction doing in my area? How has an industry or jobs overall been affected over COVID? So these are all things that this data can answer. So let me go ahead and click over to our visualization. So this data visualization covers Arizona, US, and then the metro statistical areas as well. I'm just going to stick with Arizona for now. And I can also adjust the data. So this slider here, I can pull it back or pull it forward. So for example, say if I just want to look at how a specific industry has been affected over COVID, I can pull it and narrow it in. Let's see, December 2019 to now. And then this is total non-farm jobs, so all the jobs in the economy. But say if I want to look at construction, I deselect total non-farm, and then I'd select construction, and everything would adjust to show that. So doing this, I can look at this top graph and see, oh, that went back. Oops. There we go. So looking at this top graph here, I can see how many people are employed within that specific industry that I've selected. So in Arizona, when I go and hover over this last point, I can see our June 2021 data, which is the most recent data that we have. There's about 174K people employed within the construction industry. And then I can also see the changes in the industry. So I get, maybe you all get a lot of questions like I do, how has a specific industry been affected during COVID? So if I adjust this, or let me bring this in even more. There we go. I can see there is, a huge drop in April 2020, which is pretty consistent with most industries in the economy overall, right when we felt the effects of, the uncertainty of COVID-19. And then construction had an increasing employment level through the end of 2020, went back down a little bit and has since leveled out a little bit. So that's the very brief version of how I could describe, how construction has held up over COVID-19. And I can do it all by just adjusting the slider, narrowing in, and selecting the industry. And then I can also look at the bottom graph and see the month over month change. So from 1 month to the next. So for example, if people ask how bad were jobs affected in construction, right at the height of COVID, I can look at this and say, construction lost 5,800 jobs, right in April 2020. So a huge decline. And if people ask how it's doing now, I can say, oh, they gained 1,100 jobs month over month. So from May 2021 to June 2021, they have increased jobs. So again, another way you can answer those types of questions if you get them. And if you don't like the visualization and you just want the numbers, we do have them listed down here within the visualization. And we also have our spreadsheets here. I just scrolled down a little bit on that same page. Spreadsheets back to 1990 if you want to do a time series or something like that. But we update these 2020, 2021 Excel spreadsheets and PDFs the same day that our press release information comes out. So they're very up to date. And let me show you how another tool uses this data. So this is our monthly employment rankings tool. So we use the same data, the industry employment data that I just showed you, and you can see where we rank different industries year over year and month over month. There are different changes. And I think this comes up a lot because people often ask, how does Arizona compare to our neighbors in, job growth or the specific industry, XYZ? This tool is going to exactly answer that. And it's a little bit hidden in our website, so I don't think many people know about it, but I think it's a great resource. So let me go back to our industry employment page. And then this is where we were. If I click the state ranking tab, and this visualization comes up, and we can see from month over month change for June 2021. So from May 2021 to June 2021, Arizona, we were #1 of all the 50 states in month over month overall total non-farm job growth. Definitely something to brag a little bit about if you're comparing us to our neighbors. When I say neighbors, I mean our neighboring states right here. And I can also look at different industries. So if I want to see, hey, how did Arizona do in leisure and hospitality compared to the rest of the nation? Then I can hit the drop down, hit leisure and hospitality. And I can see that month over month, we had the 5th most growth among any states. Yeah, people are often concerned about that industry since it was hit so severely during COVID. So that's why I use that as an example. And we can say, hey, we're doing better than California in that regard. We're a little bit behind Utah, or a little bit behind Nevada, doing much better than Utah, and so on. So the industry employment data that I showed in those previous 2 visualizations is updated each month within our monthly employment information. However, we also have data from each quarter that is a full census of the industry, meaning that it includes everything. Whereas the monthly data that I show you, it's a sample of the data. So this quarterly data, it lags a little bit. Our most recent quarter is from 2020 Q4, but it's going to be the most accurate data. Not to say that the monthly data is inaccurate, but just a census. If you want to go back to stats 101, a census is always going to be more accurate than a sample. So something that this tool can help us do is we can look at the industry advantage or location quotient, which I'll walk you through, the number of establishments within an industry. So you can see that here, and then the level of industry detail for each county. So this is also going to be on our industry employment page. So see, I was in the monthly data. I'm going to swap over and click quarterly. Refresh here. Yeah, because I've had the pages sit, they get sometimes Tableau doesn't like it. So I just refresh and it's all good to go. But like I said, our most recent data is 2020 Q4. And like I said, it shows total establishments, average employment, average weekly wage, and then our important employment location quotient. So the employment location quotient shows how many people are working in the specific industry in that area relative to the US. So I know that sounds complicated, but I just like to summarize it with, it indicates whether your area has an employment advantage or disadvantage within a specific area. Higher than 1 means that the area has an advantage in that industry, while closer to 0 means that there's less of an advantage. So I can hit this little arrow or the funnel, and I can sort these by highest to lowest. So right now I'm just on Arizona. Of the industries listed, we have a larger advantage, 1.38 in finance and insurance, and less of an advantage in manufacturing and management of companies and enterprises. So let me go through another example. So for example, if I'm in Pinal County, I can see that Pinal County has a huge advantage. 5 is their LQ for mining, quarrying, and oil and gas extraction. Huge LQ, almost 5 again. For agriculture, 4.4. So I can see, hey, these industries, we can build off of these. They're very strong within this area. And it's also good to look at the LQ. So say if there is an industry that you were expecting to be, one of the top in-demand industries and it's not, maybe the LQ wasn't that high, and the LQ is part of the many variables within the methodology of the in-demand industry. So maybe it wasn't as high as you thought. So just, different ways that you can look at it. So I can also use this, just going off of the LQ still. I can also use this and I can look at a more detailed section. So for example, if I want to see specifically what subsectors make up mining, quarrying, and oil and gas extraction doing so well, I can go down to a more detailed level. And I can see that mining, except oil and gas, has a huge LQ and is making up the mining sector overall doing so well. And then animal production, huge LQ. So if I go back here, I can see that's probably a huge factor for agriculture doing so well. So yeah, it's a little convoluted, but if you have questions, let me know. But LQs are an amazing tool for local area planning, business services, all the above. So moving on from industry employment to specific occupations. So in the data I just showed you, you can see, for example, something like finance and insurance. I can see how many people are employed, the LQ, etc. But within that, I can't see, in Arizona, how much is an accountant making? What's their salary, etc. What's their salary in Yuma? But with this data, I can tell that. So our occupational employment data shows the number of individuals employed in each occupation. It shows the wages by occupation. And with the tool we have on our website, we have a very high level of detail. We have it down to the county, metro statistical area, and then the workforce area as well. And we have a lot of data, 800 plus occupations statewide. So how can this data help us? So it shows us the occupational wages for all 15 counties and local areas, so very detailed analysis. You can also use this data tool that I'm going to show you to compare wages between areas or pull for a specific occupation. So, for example, if you have an occupation in mind and you just want to know what the median wage is for it, you can easily do that. So let me go ahead and go through an example. So this is our occupational employment page. And so for example, if I wanted to find out the wage for, let's say, Pima County, I select county, area, deselect everything else, Pima. And say if I want to find out the wage for an accountant, we'll just do that because it's first. I'd click apply, and then I can see, hey, how many people are accountants and auditors in Pima County? About 2,840, and then their median wage is about 65K. I can also use this, say if I want to say, how does Pima's wages stack up to Arizona? So I could go back to geography, hit statewide. I'll have to select Arizona. And then I can see Arizona's median wage is about almost 69K. So I can see that, Arizona's wages are a little bit higher. So you can do that with any type of occupation. This tool is a little slow because there's a lot of data, a lot of occupations listed with all of those local areas and all of the counties. So I think this is a really great tool. People often ask about wages, and this is a good tool for that. You can also, so this is showing annual, you can also hit wage type hourly, and you can get the hourly rate. So very handy. So moving on to unemployment data, which is often highly requested. So we can use this data to tell us, how many people are in the labor force, which means how many individuals are employed or looking for a job, the number of people who are unemployed, and then also the unemployment rate. So this data, we release it each month with our monthly press release. So like I said, if you want to sign up here or just look at the information here, we post these numbers each month. And we have, I think, the most level of detail of any data source on these because we have unemployment information for states, the state, Arizona, counties, the metro statistical areas, and select cities and towns. So it gets down to a very rural area. And to my knowledge, we are the only data source that has that information down to that level for some of those more rural areas. And I'll show you an example for that. So how can this data help us? We can just keep up with what's going on in our county, the state, our town, month to month, which is always good to keep informed. I've had people tell me that they use this tool, just once our numbers come out to see what's happening in their county, and I like hearing stuff like that. And we can also keep up with the changes so far this year and also how it's been affected during COVID. So let me go ahead and go over to that tool. So this is our unemployment tool. So right now it's set to the seasonally adjusted numbers. So if we want to get, if we want the seasonally adjusted for Arizona, perfect, we're in the right place. But if we want to get down to more of those, the rural areas that I was talking about, or even just the counties, then what we're going to do for seasonally adjusted is hit no on this button right here. There we go. And it's set for June 2021. So say, for example, that I'm looking for unemployment information in Bisbee. I click the area drop down. I'm not going to see Bisbee, but I'm going to look for the county that it's in. So Bisbee is in Cochise County. I'm going to select Cochise County. And then the information will adjust. So I can see the information for Benson, Bisbee, how many people are unemployed, the unemployment rate for June 2021, the employment number, and then how many people are in the labor force. So say if I want to see, what did this look like a year ago in June 2020, I can hit that. Adjust? Yeah. And the information will go ahead and adjust. So just recap again, super important. So if you want to get that information for the rural areas, you just hit seasonally adjusted. So usually it will be set to yes. You hit no, and then you find the county that the town or city you're looking for is located in. And then that's how you can find it. And if you don't like this and you just want the numbers, you can go ahead and scroll down. And we do have this, we update these with our monthly press release each month. We have the historical information back to 1990, but we have the city estimate. So that includes the more rural areas in these Excel sheets and these PDF sheets here. And for county and the state and metro areas are metro statistical areas. So moving on from our unemployment information, we often get requests for population characteristics or demographic information. So that includes things like educational attainment, income, ages, labor force participation rates, things like that. So I'm going to show you on our website, the tool that we have them for a lot of this information for Arizona, counties, and then also cities in Arizona, cities or towns. And if you know the data from the American Community Survey, which is where we get this data from, they have information down to the block level, like city block level. So if you're looking for something and something more detailed than what we have on our website, then feel free to reach out. But just for now, we have the most level of detail we have is going to be cities. So how can this data help us? So like I said, it's pretty common just for people to ask for it to know, poverty rate, things like that. That's often requested for grant writing, age breakdown, educational breakdown, things along those lines. It's also really helpful for workforce planning. You can know, the average educational level of the individuals in your workforce, ages, how many people we can expect to be exiting or entering the labor force, which I'll go over a little bit more in detail. So let me click over to our demographic section. This is actually part of our population section of the website. This is the only non-labor market section I'm going to show you. But this is our data visualization here. We have a lot of cities available. I'll just stay on Avondale. So say if I was looking for demographic information for Avondale, I can see that the majority of people have at least some college or an associate's degree. I can see the poverty rate, and I can see population by ages. So Avondale is unique in that they have almost a third of their population is under 19. So what that means is that they're going to have a lot of individuals coming into the workforce as those individuals age and become working age. So you can definitely factor that into, your local planning or analysis. Some other areas actually have the inverse problem where they have a huge 55 plus population, but they don't have anybody, they have way fewer people under 35. So that's something that they should consider within their local planning and, thinking of the people who will be coming into the workforce, that it's going to be a lot less than some other areas. So you can see how you can use this information to your advantage. And like I said, we have this so if you click over, we have the state and county, and then all the cities right here. The last data source that I'm going to go over is going to be our OEO industries and occupation projections. So our team releases these each year. So once for short-term projections, our current ones go through 2022, and then long-term projections, which go through the next 10 years. So we also have a very high level of geographic detail for this. So we have hundreds of occupations and industries for each of the local areas. So it's very targeted analysis. And how can this tool help us? So what I'm going to go through is that it indicates, obviously which industries or occupations are going to be growing or declining in coming years. And it also helps ensure you can use the projections to ensure that there are sufficient trainings for growing industries or occupations in your area. So for example, say if construction was going to be your top growing industry, you look at the projections tool, but you see on the ETPL or anything else that you have, there's not a lot of trainings for construction. Maybe that's something to consider since this industry is expected to grow in your area. So that's one of the ways that you could use it. So let me go ahead and show you the tool for this on our projections page. So you can toggle between these short-term and long-term projections. I'll just stick with the short-term for now. And you can also use the funnel or the arrow if you want to sort. So say if I want to see which industry is going to grow the most in Arizona, I can go ahead and sort, and I can see that trade, transportation, and utilities is expected to grow the most in Arizona. Or I can see, which one is projected to have most percentage growth. I can look at it different ways and everything. And I can also see by the local area and the workforce area. So say if I'm in Maricopa County, I want to hit that, and I want to see which area is going to add the most number of jobs. That's the other way. There we go. It's going to be also trade, transportation, and utilities. So we also have this for occupation projections. Let me reload this. There we go. And we have it down to the specific SOT code for, how much a specific occupation is projected to grow. So for example, if I'm in Coconino County, and I want to see within the short-term projections how much accountants are expected to grow. Again, yeah, this one's slow because it has a lot of data. I can see that, within the next 2 years, there's estimated to be, about 48 additional accountants within my area. So very helpful. We have the SOT code right here. So I definitely recommend using this tool. And again, if you don't like it, you can go ahead and go to the spreadsheets that we have down here for the long-term and short-term projections for both the industry and the occupations if needed. So before I wrap up here, I just wanted to preview a few things that we do have going on within the LMI or economic analysis team. We use them a little interchangeably, but we are working on a few additional tools. So we're working on a jobs profile tool right now that'll have a lot more information for each occupation. which, will be closer to probably like an uh, ONET type of visualization. I know I'm not describing that very well, but you'll have to see it. And then I'm currently working on a WIOA outcomes tool. So with that, we're hoping to be able to show, what the employment outcomes are for the adult program in Northeastern Arizona. And all of that. So we hope to roll those out within a couple months. And I'll do a brief presentation, and answer questions and everything. Our tentative date, no invites are sent out yet, is going to be September 29th. So just keep that week, that day in your mind. And with that, I will go ahead and take questions. All right. LQ location quotient. All right, so yeah, if you have any questions, then go ahead, feel free to put them in the chat or unmute yourself. You should be able to unmute yourself. I'll wait for a second. And I'll put my name in the chat just in case anything comes up with questions or anything like that. We are going to pull the lists for these sessions. So I'll go ahead and email the slides out so you all have all of the slides. And like I said, I referenced the URL on each of the slides, so you don't have to memorize it or anything like that. And hopefully it can be like a quick checklist and something you can refer back to. All right, anything else? LQ. And then again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. I don't see anything in the chat right now. Okay, well, I put my email in the chat if you don't have it already. And if anything else comes up or any other additional questions, then feel free to reach out. But with that, I'll go ahead and end this, and thank you all for attending.